Superman. The sequel began for the Carolina Panthers yesterday when quarterback Cam Newton returned to the team. He led to the Super Bowl back in 2015 with a one-year contract. The deal is worth up to $10 million for the remainder of the season, including a $4.5 million guaranteed and a $1.5 million roster bonus. Ben, I'll start with you here. Does the signing of Cam Newton put them in the playoffs?
I am going to go with no, and honestly, it's more based on their situation that they're currently in more than just Cam Newton. Cam Newton will be an upgrade based on what they've had, although Sam Darnold started off the year really nice. He was running the ball. He was leading the league in rushing touchdowns to like week 3 or 4, but then he just got way too turnover happy. Cam will likely be an upgrade. I don't think we should take a lot of stock in what Cam did last year in a really bad scheme with really bad weapons in New England. I think he's better than that, and he'll play really well. And he's going to have one of the better weapons he's played with in his career. Obviously, he had prime Greg Olsen, and he had Steve Smith, but DJ Moore is really good, and it'll be one of the better weapons Cam has had to play with. But I want to look at this. Mm-hmm. So Cam Newton gets signed on a Thursday. It's too late for him to learn the playbook and everything for this Sunday's game. Mm-hmm. They play Arizona, and PJ Walker's going to start. They're more likely they're not going to go to 4-6.
Exactly.
And that keeps them at the basement of the NFC South. They're in 4th right now. All 3 of Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Atlanta are ahead of them. So they're in 4th. They got to chase 3 teams. If you look at Carolina's schedule, especially down the stretch of the season, it is a nightmare. They still have to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers twice. They play the Saints in New Orleans, and they play the Bills. Those are their final 4 games to close out the season. So even though I think they'll win some games, I think they'll beat Washington in what will probably be Cam's first game. In that final 4 stretch of the season, maybe they steal one, but I don't even know about that. I like Brady over the Panthers both times. I don't necessarily trust the Panthers in New Orleans, even though they beat them, but that was in Carolina with completely different circumstances back in week 2. So I like the defense, I like the weapons, and I like Cam Newton, but are they better than any of those 4 teams and a couple others on their record? Probably not. And even though the 7th seed in the NFC is not great right now, it's the Falcons, who I believe are 4-4 or 5-4, whatever it is.
4-4.
Yeah, do I think the Panthers can string enough wins together? Even if they surprise and win a couple upsets, I still have them around 8 wins, and that maybe that gets them in, but I think it would take more like 9 or 10. So even though I'm very excited to watch Cam Newton, like I legitimately am, I just don't think it's going to be enough based on if Carolina had a better record than what they're at right now, they'd have a shot, but they need to get off to a fast start this season, and they're not right now at 4-5.
Well, let's talk about this. I'm looking at Atlanta's remaining schedule here. It's pretty tough. You got them Cowboys. You got the Patriots, Jaguars, Bucks, Panthers, 49ers, Lions, Bills, and Saints. So that is a tough schedule. I will admit, that is a tough schedule, but it is easier than it seems for the Panthers. I love me some Cam Newton. He's getting a happy ending by going back to Carolina. We all know that Cam Newton is a former league MVP back in 2015. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's not an accurate passer. With the exception, back in 2018 when North Turner was the offensive coordinator for Carolina. He completed 67% of his passes a year. Otherwise, he has never completed more than 60% of his passes in his NFL career. So let's get that out of the way. You look at Carolina right now. They started 3-0 this season. And the reason they started 3-0 is because they played 3 garbage teams coming out of the season. The Texans, the Jets, and there was another one, but I forgot what it was.
Saints in week 2. I don't think that Saints team is much better now.
Exactly, and Jameis Winston's out now. But let's just start talking for right now. I'm going to get to Sam Darnold. Good Lord have mercy. He's out for 4 to 5 weeks with some shoulder tear or something like that. He was awful the last couple of weeks. This is what happens when you get drafted by the New York Jets. You get coached by Adam Gase, and you're contaminated for life. That's what happened with Sam Darnold. I feel horrible for the guy. He seems like a nice dude. Carolina traded a ton of draft capital for him, and it looks like they're going to regret that for a while now. I mean, this dude started the season pretty good. He has 11 interceptions now compared to 7 touchdowns. He ain't great at all. He has looked like garbage the last couple of weeks. I mean, they had to have P.J. Walker come in the game. P.J. Walker, an XFL star. I mean, that's pretty bad when you start talking about that. I mean, excuse me. They signed Matt Barkley to the practice squad. I'm not going to read anything into Matt Barkley. But Cam Newton will not be playing this Sunday. So I'm going to assume they're going to lose this Sunday. But when you look at Cam Newton, his ability to run with the football, move the chains with his legs. I mean, he was the first quarterback to do it, really, if you think about it, besides Michael Vick. But when you see what Cam Newton can do with his legs, find open receivers. I mean, they got better receivers than what he had in New England. I mean, when you got N'Keal Harry, Matt LaCassie, Jacoby Myers, not Jacoby and Myers, Jacoby Myers. You got DJ Moore. You got Christian McCaffrey, who should be back later. You got Robbie Anderson. You got Chuba Hubbard. You got all these dudes that can make plays on the field. You got receivers that could be lethal. And when you do that, and when you have that at your disposal, you could be lethal in a way that you can get your team wins. Now, I'm looking at their stats. Carolina is actually still a really good defense, even though they've looked like trash in the past weeks. They have the second best defense in the National Football League. Their offense is garbage. Okay, without Christian McCaffrey, their team is obviously one-dimensional in terms of passing the football. It's just a matter of sense. They are 29th in the passing game. They are worse than the Chicago Bears. So when you are worse than the Chicago Bears in the passing game, there is something wrong with you. So clearly Sam Darnold has not done his job. Clearly is that. Cam Newton coming in, I don't think can get any worse. I believe in Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator. He got Joe Burrow to be a star in LSU. Sam Darnold looked pretty good the first 3 weeks. I'm not sure what happened after that, but I believe in Cam Newton, and I think this is going to be a good sequel. However, when I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady and the crew, and I look at the New Orleans Saints, even though Trevor Siemian's there and Jameis Winston's done for this team, and I still believe them in more. You got Matty Ice on the Falcons. I believe him in more. Just the Carolina Panthers, they're going to fall short.
Yep, and another thing where I didn't really talk about with Carolina, their offensive line is atrocious, and Cam's mobility will make up for some of that. And Sam's Darnold's hit at a little bit because Sam is somewhat mobile, but it's still not good whatsoever. Their defense will keep them in games. I expect them to play some of these teams close. It seems like the Panthers kind of play a little bit better in these division matchups, but it's still not enough for me. If you want to look at it, I found this funny yesterday after they signed Cam Newton. Cam Newton cut bait, or the Panthers cut bait with Cam Newton prior to the 2020 season. So now, after signing him back, the Panthers are paying Cam Newton to be the replacement for Cam Newton's replacement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that seems like it's about right. And that defense, by the way, I mean, mention you got Jeremy Shin, who is a great player. You got Brian Burns at the defensive end. He played really good last week, and that was a dirty tackle on Mac Jones' part. I believe Brian Burns every minute of the day. I mean, I watched the tape. It was a dirty tackle. But Carolina, they got a good defense, and I'm happy for them, and they look like they have a bright future.
Yeah, no, they've got pieces. They've got a lot of young pieces as well. I think there's going to be a little bit of scrutiny over the next couple of years. The fact that they took J.C. Horn over Justin Fields. Now, J.C. Horn is a really good corner, but their defense has been playing really well without Horn because Horn's been injured. So Who knows? It's hindsight is 2020. You can't predict the future. But I think in a draft class where you had to get your guy last year because the QB spot, the draft class this year's not as bright, they could look back and be like, should we really have rolled the dice and traded for a guy that didn't work in New York, or should we have went and got a franchise guy out of Ohio State and Fields? We'll never know. It's hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, no, Luke, I definitely agree. I think this is going to be a nice little reunion for Cam Newton. One thing I wanted to mention out was this quote that he said. He said, "You cannot live with your own failure, and where did that bring you back to me?" That was pretty good. The little Thanos one. But yeah, I will say that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Christian McCaffrey's on my fantasy team. I'm pretty sure he played last weekend.
Oh, okay.
So I think he is back. I think that's going to help Cam Newton out a lot. Plus, he also has Robbie Anderson, DJ Morris, guys like this. So yeah, I think they do come up just short in the playoff spot, but it's going to be good to have Cam Newton back. He's definitely going to get him a couple more wins, which is going to be nice for them.